So today I want to chat to you about sketchbooks, about developing creative ideas, creative intention setting, looking back to look forward. So I just thought we'd have quite a far-ranging, hopefully interesting, creative chit-chat. And I just thought I'd share what I'm thinking about and the things that are coming up for me in my own creative practice, because I always want to just help you in your own creative adventures. So the end of the year always makes me a little bit reflective. It's like a inflection point for me. I like to sort of look back over what I've done this year and think about what I want to do in the coming year. And I've been going back through some notebooks. At the beginning of this year, I wrote some notes to myself about some things that I wanted to think about in my own creative practice, the things I wanted to remember and bring to my art making. I called it Things to Remember, My Guiding Principles for 2025. The irony is that I totally forgot that I wrote this list. So now I found this list and it's the end of the year and I wrote this at the beginning of the year. I have said that I wanted to slow down. I can't read my writing. I need to slow down. No need to push and strive so much. Let things unfurl and unfold. Give your creativity the gift of space. Let ideas percolate. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. That's a slight in-joke. Me and my husband, we both run our own sort of micro one-person businesses. Sometimes that's hard. And so we quite often just say to each other, enjoy the journey. Anyway, I mean, I do believe that it's important to enjoy the journey. Sometimes it's hard though, isn't it? Nurture yourself and your creativity. Rest, read books. No need to always be on and productive. Let joy and delight be your compass. These are good notes. I wish I'd look back on them sooner. Give ideas enough time to become. Give ideas enough time to become. Follow your instincts and wisdom. Don't force. You'll be 50. What a privilege. Have some fun. I turned 50 this year in March. And then I've written in large letters, pattern, colour and play. It's so interesting. Even though I had forgotten that I'd actually written this specific list, I think the act of writing things down takes an idea and solidifies it. It takes something that might be sort of ethereal and makes it more concrete. So even though I wasn't referring back to this list all year, I think by writing down what I wanted, I sort of embedded it in my psyche slightly. You know, that's the advice that I needed to give myself. And you might need to give yourself a different set of advice. But I think it's useful just to write a list about what you want from your creativity. I often find it helpful to do a start, stop, more, less. Start, stop, more, less list, where I just have columns about things I want to start doing, things I want to stop doing, things I want to do more of, and things I want to do less of. It's just a useful framework for thinking about our creativity, I think. As well as looking back through my notebook from this year, I also found this little notebook from many years ago, about 2 decades ago, where I've written loads of notes about things I'm interested in terms of art, in terms of process. It's been really lovely to go back and meet myself and understand that actually some of the things that I'm preoccupied with now are the things that I was preoccupied with 20 years ago. It's got loads of my art notes in it. It's all about the things I was interested in back then. Still life. When I think of my home, I think of refuge, colour, decoration, books, cocoon, textiles, fabric, pattern decorations, vases and jugs. Artists are like explorers. We enter a process without any idea of the end result. The process is an exploration. We start in one direction and then we go in another direction. We cannot anticipate where we will end up. This is like such a trip down memory lane. The seductive richness of paint. I want the pleasure of creation to be expressed in my work. I love the organic and the ornamental. Excessive flowers. Be willing to make mistakes. All the breakthroughs in art and science come when rules have been broken or challenged. So write a notebook and then come back and look at it in 20 years' time. I have been working on this real series of acrylic paintings on paper, so works on paper, inspired by some drawings of things in my home, and I then collaged some of my drawings from my sketchbook and played around with different compositions. And for the last month or so, I have been painting, taking an idea that was birthed in my sketchbook and developing it into a series of paintings. And I loved the reference in my old notebook to the ornamental and the organic. I was trying to think of a name for this series of paintings, and I sort of love the idea that something's growing out of these empty vessels. So a cup or a jug or a vase is waiting to be filled, and in these paintings I've sort of filled them up with weird and wonderful botanical shapes and colours and ideas. And reading back through my notebook was so helpful to me when I saw that I had written about my love for the ornamental and the organic. In some of them I have just gone absolutely bananas with colour. My intention is that these will be available on my website in January. I just thought, as I was talking about my notebook and also some of the intentions or hopes for this year in terms of colour and play and pattern, I sort of think that these paintings hit that brief. And now I'll show you the sketchbooks that I've worked in this year, and I think you'll be able to see the progression of the idea, where the idea for these paintings came from by me sort of thinking through doing in my sketchbook. About 7 or 8 years ago, I made a very conscious decision that I was going to share all of my sketchbooks online, not just the lovely pages that I thought were great, but everything, the whole sketchbook. It still feels a little bit exposing, like I'm showing my underwear in public. There's something about a sketchbook that is deeply personal and deeply private, and so sharing it can sometimes make me feel a bit vulnerable and a bit uncomfortable. But I think there is value in it, and I have stuck by that decision to share everything in my sketchbook. Because when I was coming back to art making, I found it so helpful to look inside other people's sketchbooks, to see their working out, to see their thought process in action, to see the experiments and the honest explorations that they were doing in their sketchbooks. So I made that decision, and I've stuck by it to share my sketchbook in the hope that it might encourage anyone else to start their own sketchbook. So what I thought I would do is just show you what I've been doing in my sketchbook this year, a bit of a sketchbook tour. I do try and do something in my sketchbook every few days, even if it's a small amount, because I find that that keeps my hand in, it keeps the momentum going, it keeps me interested and curious, and it keeps a connective thread to my creative self and what I want to explore further, really, and what I want to investigate. When I look back through my sketchbook pages, that I've kind of taken an idea and I've repeated it and revisited it and explored it in different materials or in different colours. It's like I'm distilling the essence of something and getting to understand it and getting to build a muscle memory. And so I'm often doing that in my sketchbook, sort of revisiting, reimagining, each time learning something new, perhaps simplifying, perhaps distilling, perhaps changing, emphasising the bits I like about something. So each page is a new sort of sense of discovery, even though I might be using a similar subject or similar composition. When I look back at my sketchbook this year, there is just an exuberance of flowers. And I think, you know, I said I wanted to let joy and delight be my compass. And I think that's what I've done really. Played with pattern, played with mark making, just had lots of fun. And you know, sometimes I'm working in my sketchbook in the evenings when I'm sitting on the sofa, so I might just use one pen. That's why I might have, you know, a whole series of pages that are sort of black and white, and that's often when I'm doing it in my living room. Or if I'm using ink and paint, that tends to be when I'm up in my studio here. Lines, colours, marks, shapes, vases, vessels, jugs, dots, zigzags, stripes. And I sort of love to see that progression of ideas, that through line. There's something I think just wonderful about Sketchbook because it's all in one place. There's a sort of connective tissue where you can literally look back through 100 pages in one go, and I really enjoy that. So these sketchbooks are really big. They are A3, which means that a double page spread is A2, so it's really big. And sometimes I really enjoy working in a big sketchbook, and then sometimes I enjoy working in a teeny tiny little intimate one. It really just depends on my mood. There's something sort of gestural and expressive about a big expanse, but there's also something intimate, easy about a tiny little one. And then this sketchbook here, which is a sketchbook from Fabriano, which I started at the very beginning of 2025, which I haven't filled up yet, is all flowers, vases, jugs, colour, pattern.
Lean into the tension for release. Good things come with ease. Don't resist.
And in the last video, I showed you this sketchbook here, which is really just a colour exploration sketchbook. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching along this year, for your encouragement, for your kindness, and I wish you every success with your own creative endeavours and adventures. And I look forward to being back with you next year.